The last bit of work you're going to do this semester is an independently framed and drafted and researched project using some of the tools that we've seen and implemented using Social Explorer by popular demand. The purpose of this video is to walk through just some of the parameters of the assignment and then to show you how to implement this in Social Explorer. I'll also talk a little bit about the sequence of events. So, the way this assignment's going to work is you're going to go out to Social Explorer. I think in the Lab 10 version of this, I had you link directly to Social Explorer at socialexplorer.com. But if you log in to the Temple University Library and follow this link, you can get to Social Explorer using our site license, which allows you to do cooler things, theoretically, like upload shapefiles. What we're going to do in this lab is two things. Well, one thing fundamentally. We're going to take a look at two phenomena, two things you choose to look at, and analyze them in a couple different ways. The way I'm going to demonstrate this is I'm going to look at average commute time and population density. Just two random phenomena I've chosen, and I think about what do I think the theoretical relationship between these two things might be. Well, I guess where people live a long way from their work, so places where it's sparsely settled, people commute a long way, and maybe where things are dense and it's harder to get around. So there's sort of two different relationships at once, and so I think maybe if I look at this in different ways, I'll get different stories out of that. So for example, in the assignment, what I'm asking you to do is pick two phenomena and then look at them at different scales. Now, when I say scales, I mean potentially spatial scales or spatiotemporal scales. Now, what I mean by that is, in the simplest way to understand it, I imagine drawing a map that is every state in the country. You can leave out Alaska and Hawaii just so you can see things better. So let's say the lower 48. And you're looking at the state level. So you're analyzing data by state, mapping the entire set of the lower 48 states. Then a change of scale would be to look at a state, let's say Wyoming, and look at all the counties in Wyoming and see if the spatial patterns or the overall relationships seem to change. The relationship between population density, let's say, and commute time, does that change when we shift scales, shift locations? Now, it's possible in Social Explorer also to shift temporal scales. So you can say, what do things look like in 2000 versus what do things look like in 2019? I think that's the most recent time period we can look at. So how do things change over time, and how do things change over space? We can look at both of those things. I'm inviting you to look at 4 different views of 2 different phenomena. So first pick 2 measures, commute time in my case, and population density, and then look at different ways that you might display that and think about what that's telling you. In my case, my measures, when I think about it in the abstract, I think might be telling me more than one thing. So there may be more than one pattern, and it may depend on where I'm looking, because in some places, like rural places, I bet commute times are higher. You've got to drive to wherever you're working, unless you work at the farm right out your back door. And in urban areas, it might take you longer to get to work because you got to get on public transit. I'm actually controlling for that. I'm only looking at people driving. So people from this American Community Survey who report that they are driving and how long it takes them to get to work in minutes. So I'll show you these 2 measures in the next video, and I'll walk through different tools that will come in really handy for you in Social Explorer.